Alright, we're out here in sunny Sicily, just building apps, you know, here with my co-founder, another app founder, working on my app, grinding, locking in, trying to get everything set up. We're working on putting out our paywall, upgrading the onboarding form, upgrading all the features in the app, just doing quite a bit of things, big plans for it, working with lots of influencers. So it's a good place to be. It's sunny, it's hot, you know, we have the sea, so yeah. What I wanted to do today, I wanted to talk a little bit about prompting and how important prompting is for the future of AI. I mean, I'm sure you understand how important it is already. You probably had it drilled into your head thousands of times, but I think what a lot of people don't understand is that prompting is more than just learning a prompt structure. Prompting is just the method of talking to the AI, and as AI from now is going to be your project manager, your coder, your designer, your whatever else you might think, a researcher, pretty much playing every role in your business. And all you do is like a kind of a general person going around and playing the part of moving these pieces around. You need to understand how to talk, and you only need to understand how to talk once, and you can speak to all these 5, 10, 50 different roles your AIs are playing, because they all speak the same language, they all understand it in the same way, and they all need you to speak to them in the same way. Of course, you're going to change the language depending on who you're speaking to, what type of AI it is, and what their role they're carrying out. But at the end of the day, the structure, what you're saying, how you're saying it, the way you're going about it, generally is going to stay the same. So I'm going to show you a little bit about my day in the life, you know, what I'm doing while I'm here in Sicily, what I'm building, how we're building it, and throughout it I'm going to give you some sort of tips, advice, and teach you some of the lessons that I wish I learned earlier when building my app, when it comes to prompting specifically. Alright, so I'm just about to get started on some organic content, just working on making a few pieces, getting a few pieces posted, sorting out a few things to do with just the whole thing. Before that, I wanted to sort of give that first piece of advice. So first things first, you need to write what you create down. So, you know, if you prompt your AI, if you prompt it in the code or whatever and it works, you need to write it down. You need to store that, and you need to be ready to use it again. Because if it works once, it'll work again, it'll work again, and it'll work again. The worst thing you can do is make that prompt, it works really well, and you don't save it, and then you try and do a similar thing later down the line, but you can't do it because you don't have the prompt. So when you save these prompts, you can use the structure, you can reuse, you can basically backtrack the result or reverse engineer the result by saving that prompt and that structure of the prompt. So saving your prompts is one of the best things that you can do, and it's one of the best, most useful things I think most people ignore because they think, oh, it's easy to write prompts, I'll just write it again in the future. When actually, if you can save that structure and reuse it, it's going to save you so much time. Again, working on the onboarding form now. Working on the onboarding form and just building out a drop-down paywall on the Super Bowl. The boys playing table tennis over there. But yeah, I'm going to get back on here. I'm going to give you sort of the second thing, which when it comes to prompting is so important. The second key thing, which for me feels more important than the first key thing, and the third is for me the most important, but the second, basically don't be ambiguous, especially when you're trying to build something big. If you're really ambiguous of what you're trying to do, and you're like, this is the big thing we do that, or build me a fashion app, or build me a style app, it's just not going to work the way you want it to. You have to be precise. I did say when you're starting up, I'd also say it's almost even more important when you've got a big app. If you've got a really big app with lots of files and lots of app files, and you're trying to say, you know, add me a new feature with no detail on how you want to add it, the logic of how it's added, I promise you this, it will add it in a way which is not how you want it added, and it will add it in a way which breaks your app in some way, because it happens to me every time. I ask for a feature and it'll do something, or add some logic, it will break something else, because the AI is not trained to do things the right way. So you have to be really careful with it, and I think just be precise, explain what you're doing, explain why you're doing it, explain how you're doing it, explain your logic, your idea behind why you're doing it, and they'll always do it right. But yeah, that's sort of the very key, because if you're not giving it enough detail, it will just do it in a random way, and you'll end up with an app with thousands of errors and thousands of issues because the AI just built it in a way which it thinks is best, because you're not giving it enough detail on what is best. But yeah, it's pretty key. I'm going to get on with it now. So yeah, like I said, designing this onboarding form, just finishing it up. Got quite a lot to do, obviously waiting for that app to go live, the update to get approved. Basically, it's just waiting for a review from App Store, and I also have to upload a bit more information on my bank and stuff. So hopefully, fingers crossed, approved by today and put live. But yeah, I'm going to finish the onboarding form, finish this downsell on the onboarding form that I'm building, get it all live, get it all set up. You need to understand and you need to ask what is being built. You can't just always sort of rely on what you know is happening. You have to sort of ask the AI what it is doing. You need to understand what the AI is building. Even if you don't know how to code, you need to understand the logic. If your AI says, I don't know, just say for us, for example, we have an analysis model where it's like, we analyze the outfit. We used to have it so it would analyze the rate, it would give them the rate, it would create the rating, then it would create the advice, then it would, I can't remember what it did. I think it was, then it would filter it or something. But basically that was a 3-step process. And I asked the AI, why can't we just have them all run parallel to each other as a parallel task? And the AI never did this, never thought of this. But I asked it, why can't we just have them all run at the same time? Because I asked it for the logic. I said, what is the logic behind the way it works? It told me the logic. I said, I don't want it to work like that. I want it to work in parallel. It got done, and then our wait time of waiting for an hour to go review got cut in half. So sometimes it's just about figuring out how is your AI doing things, what is the logic behind the way it's doing things, and then thinking, is there a better process or logic process of doing that said thing? So yeah, asking, understanding is a massive thing when it comes to prompting your AI. You need to, my thought process, especially when we're working on big things or big features, is understand the current setup, what is it currently doing on this, if we have anything at all, what is it planned to do on it. So say you ask it to build this, say how would you do this, what is your plan, and then tweak the logic. And then once you have a perfect logic system, once you have a perfect way of doing it, resend that to the AI and then have it built. Don't let it build the initial logic, because 9 times out of 10 that initial logic is not 100% optimized. You can actually optimize that initial logic, the initial idea it creates with AI, by just going to ChatGPT or anything else and asking it what's a better way to do said thing. But yeah, that's basically it. Always understand and ask, even if you don't know how to code, understand and ask the logic so you can improve it and do it in a better way. Those are sort of the 3 key things when it comes to improving your prompting. Prompting is the biggest thing when it comes to AI. It's going to be the future. I mean, until that gets cut out, which I can promise you it probably will. But until it does, it is the biggest thing. And at the moment, especially, it is the biggest thing that's going to help you build an enormous app, build an incredible whatever you want to build. It is the number 1 thing that's going to help you do said thing. So make sure you're learning prompting, make sure you're getting good at it, make sure you're remembering your prompts, make sure you're understanding what the AI is telling you, and make sure you're not being ambiguous, of course, as well.